young mother of 3 moves into a cute little house in Gary, Indiana. Not long after, she's at her family doctor's office because nobody else will help her. Nobody will help her get the demons out of her son. What happens in the office that day makes the staff call 911. The ambulance and police arrive. They get transported to the hospital. What happens in the hospital that day makes the hospital staff call the local church to see if a priest can come down right away and do an exorcism. This is the haunting of 3860 Carolina Street, aka Portal to Hell, aka Demon House. Let's dive in. All right, so this story is going to be in 2 parts. The first part is this part that we're doing now, which is the haunting, and part 2 is going to be, is it horror or hoax? Let's get in it. Nothing could have prepared them for what they were about to go through in this house. Psychological evaluations, police investigations, and a series of exorcisms. So it's LaToya and her mom, Rosa, and they have a son 7, a son 9, and a daughter 12. So they're living in the house together. And LaToya said right away, things were weird in the house. She said that she would get tingly and she would get like warm, like a feeling she had never felt before, like something outer worldly. Then the kids start acting aggressive. They're like fighting each other more than they were. They are saying things that kids don't say. First of all, they're cursing, they're swearing, they're getting aggressive with Rosa and with LaToya. And one of them said like, I'm gonna kill you. Like they just start going crazy like all of a sudden. So the basement, you know, it's always the basement. The basement, they would hear things at night. So they would just hear footsteps, like people were living down there. Like there's several people living down there. So every time they went down and checked it out, nobody's down there. The basement is clean. So, you know, it made them uneasy. Like who wants people in their basement? So they locked the door. So it goes up to the kitchen and they put a lock on the door. So now they're hearing footsteps coming up the stairs and stopping at the door. That's freaky. Like, I hate these stories. So that was bad enough. Then they hear the door opening. So they have the door locked. The door's locked and they're hearing the door opening. Every time they go to check anything out, nobody's there. So this is like a progressive ghost story. I guess they all are. So that suddenly they're seeing like shadowy figures. There's shadowy figures at night. Nothing happens in the daytime, by the way. This is all like at night. One night, LaToya sees this shadowy figure go by her door and she's like, I'm following it. Like, I'm gonna do it. I give her a lot of credit. I don't know if I would have done that. So she follows the shadowy figure into the living room and it starts pacing. It's like a male figure and it starts pacing around the living room and she's like, oh my, no way, this is real, right? So she turns on the light. No one's there. When she looks down, there's footprints. And there are photos of these footprints. It's a man's shoe. So there's no man in the house. There's boys and women. Okay, so next thing up. Okay, so things start amping up with the kids. Now it's getting more physical. The 9-year-old describes what it's like to die. So that was shocking. The 7-year-old is now locking himself in the closet and he's talking to an imaginary friend. The 12-year-old girl said that she feels like she's getting choked and she also feels like it's laying her down, like pressing down on her so that she can't move or talk. Then she said that they told her that she was going to die in 20 minutes and never see her family again. So these are pretty heavy demonic activities. The kids start talking in tongues. Both the grandma and the mom said that they would get these deep guttural voices like you're 1,000,000 years old, like goes down like that. I'll never do that again, so sorry. Deep guttural voice, and they're just cursing, like threatening to kill each other, kill themselves, kill everyone. Nobody likes a demonic child. Like, let's just face it. It's just no one wants it. They're getting grins like you would expect if you were possessed. The 7-year-old's eyes are rolling back in his head. So this is making everybody uncomfortable, obviously. The grandmother's also getting headbutted. Now, everybody feels the effects of these demons except for Rosa. And Rosa said she was born with a protection spell. So thank God there's one person in the house that can like deal with the rest of what's going on. So what finally happens is the kids start getting thrown around, like thrown against a wall. They said the 7-year-old was in the bathroom and he like came flying out of the bathroom like someone threw him. The kids start missing school. So now like it's getting legal because the kids are missing most days at school. And Rosa's saying, well, we have to go to bed at 8 because at 11 o'clock we have to deal with the demons and then we have to deal with them all night. And so the kids can't go to school because their eyes are bloodshot and they're exhausted and they're horrible to be around. Not good. The next thing that happens, she just is getting over it. So she doesn't have money. Normally you would just break the lease and you're gonna go move into a new house, but she doesn't have the money to do that. So she's a Christian woman. She's like, I'm gonna call the local churches and ask for help. Like somebody has gotta help me get the demons out of the house. Shockingly, no one's interested in helping her. None of the churches that she called. It said she called churches and temples and just everyone she could think of. And one church, super great church. I really want to find out who answered this phone, who took this call. They said to douse the house in ammonia and bleach. Fun fact, that will kill you. If you mix ammonia and bleach and you breathe it, it can kill you. It kills a couple thousand people every year. Just to be clear, if you use bleach, you should never mix it with any other cleaning supply because it's not just ammonia, it can kill you. So please just don't mix bleach. This same super helpful church also tells her to bathe the children in olive oil and put crosses on their heads with the oil on the windows, on the doors. I just don't understand people. But she does this. She bathes their feet and their hands and then gets them all like done up. She does the crosses on their face. She does it all over the house. The next thing that happens is they have a wake in their house. So they have a bunch of friends and family over. While everyone's there, the daughter's in her room with a friend. She starts levitating. Okay, so again, the thing about this case is there's tons of witnesses. There's 1,000 pages of reports between everything about documenting what happened to them in that house. So apparently, I've heard variations of this, but apparently the friends and family were holding hands around the bed and she came down. I also heard that it happened in the middle of the night and no one was there, but I'm gonna go with the family was there because LaToya said now that happened, everybody was freaked out and terrified and they also heard things and saw things in the house. And now no one will come visit them. No friend and no family is gonna come to the house because it's infested with demons. They get two clairvoyants. Two clairvoyants tell them there's like 200 demons in that house. Is this like a favorite number? Like, there's 200 demons in your house. I always feel like they have to put it like 100 isn't enough. We're gonna make it 2. What are they gonna do? So this is when LaToya, she just can't take it anymore. No one's gonna help her. She's doing everything she can in her own house. She was reading from the Bible. She had an altar put, I think a church told her that too, like put an altar downstairs. She put an altar, she had candles, she had religious icons just all over the house to try and help, and nothing was helping. So she finally takes the 2 boys and grandma and they go to the doctor's office. While they're in that doctor's office that we discussed before, the boys start getting aggressive and they're cursing. And that's weird, right? Kids don't usually curse because they're very young. And they're punching, one of them's headbutting grandma. And I've heard it both ways, but I'm gonna say it how I believe it happened and from the report. The report said it happened 2 times. I think it happened 1 time. We're gonna get there. That happens at the hospital. So we're at the doctor's office that we discussed earlier, and the boys are getting really aggressive. They're cursing out the staff. They're claiming they're gonna kill people, headbutting grandma. I mean, it's just getting like out of control. When all of a sudden, and this is with a doctor, a nurse, Rosa, LaToya, everybody's in the freaking room, and the 7-year-old goes flying against the wall like he was thrown, but no one touched him, and he fell to the floor and passed out. That's when they called 911. They were like, we don't know what's going on, but it's above our pay grade and or not our specialty. This is an S show because like 7 police officers arrived, the ambulance, a bunch of medical people. They're like, we're at the doctor's office, so why are you calling 911? So The ambulance takes the boy, the whole family goes to the hospital. So now they're in the hospital, right? And I can't imagine the conversations that were going on in that hospital. Like, guess what you have coming. Anyway, they're there. And this is another one where I've heard variations, but I'm going to tell you, according to everything I've read, what sounds the most plausible that happened. So there's a CPS worker, Child Protective Services worker, that was assigned to the case. So she goes to the hospital. I believe that she was at the doctor's office also. So they're all go to the hospital now, right? So she's in the room, the two boys, grandma, and a nurse. Things are getting out of control. The boys are going mental like they did before. The mom's in the other room, and things build. So here's the room with the kids, and the mom's out here, but you can hear her, and she's telling whoever's out there, I really need help killing the demon in my son. So the more that she's out there saying this, the tension's building in the room. One kid, his eyes roll back, the 7-year-old, he looks at, like, I'm gonna kill you, like right now, it's gonna happen. And apparently the 7-year-old gets the 9-year-old in a headlock, and he won't let him go, and the 9-year-old's going crazy screaming. The 7-year-old, so it takes 3 people. They pry him off, right? So now everything's settled down. Meanwhile, she's still in the other room saying, I need to get the demon out of my son. Meanwhile, Berserk City in the other room. This is the part that everyone hates. This is when it goes absolutely freaking mental. The 7-year-old, deep guttural voice. I'm not going to do it because it's so stupid when I do it. Eyes roll back in his head. He starts making demon sounds. His grandma sees it coming. She's like, looks at him. She goes over and takes his hands, right? Because he's going crazy. You are not you. You are not you. You are not my grandson. As she's doing this, he's walking up the wall. Okay, she's holding him. He's walking up the wall over the ceiling, and he jumps back behind her. This was witnessed. Nurse, CPS, grandma, brother. So the nurse goes running out of the room. The CPS person, Valerie Washington, is like, oh my God. The nurse gets the doctor, tells the doctor, like, how could you even tell the doctor? She's trying to tell the doctor what happened, and the doctor's like, oh, okay. So the doctor comes back in the room, and he's like, can you do that again? Of course he can't do it again. Then the police come, they take the kids. So CPS takes the kids. Is somebody really gonna do all this for money? To lie, to get money? I mean, if it's 800 to 1,000 pages of reports of what happened to them in that house, are you really gonna go through that? She got her kids taken away from her. I think either she had a mental issue and it kind of bled into the kids, and then like that shared hysteria. But because so many people corroborate the story, because we're going to get into it in the next episode. I actually have the report, the CPS report, the first report. We're just going to go through it about what the police say, what the priest. By the way, the priest is the one who said, it's going to be in the link. He had an interview and he said, they called me from the hospital to see if I could come on down and do an exorcism, but it doesn't work like that. I have to get approval. I can't just come down, but he went to the house after that this Sunday, and we're going to get into that in the next episode. That is the haunting, the Amon's haunting. See you for the next video, and we can find out, is this real? Is it horror or hoax? Thanks for joining. Lock your doors, stay safe. Have a great one.